The Hyundai Kona Electric, one of Australia's most recognisable cars in electric form, available in standard or long range, elite or highlighted trims, and starting at $54,000 to $64,000 before on-road costs, does this compact SUV perform better than its sibling petrol version? In this review, I'll cover how it handles, fit and finish, and whether you should be taking a look at Hyundai's Kona Electric. If you want to hear about technologies like electric vehicles from an Australian perspective, please do subscribe because I cover this and a lot more. Okay, excuse the pun, but let's talk about electrics for the Kona Electric. This is able to take any standard wall plug in Australia, of which there are millions, and you simply take it out of your boot, plug it into the wall, whack it in here, and away you go. This is a very slow way of charging, but it's actually a really good way of charging, and it's very, very cheap. In fact, so cheap, it's like a quarter the price compared to paying for petrol. And we know what's going to happen to petrol, don't we? It's just going to keep on going up and up and up, which is probably a good segue to check out this little story about how much you can save by going to an electric car now. I could install a level 2 charger at home. You don't have to. My MG ZS EV is still getting slow to charge through a standard wall outlet, but you could. And by having a level 2 charger that gives you a 7.2 kilowatt charge, this thing could be charged in as little as 9 hours. So if you do, let's say 400 kilometers every single day and you want to refuel this ready for the next day, you could do that. You plug it in when you get home, and more than likely halfway through the night when you're asleep, it's fully filled, ready to go again. It's like having a petrol station in your own home. We can also go for DC fast charging, of which along, different parts of Australia, there's lots of them, but conversely, going to the red centre, out west, it's getting a little thin on the ground. But nonetheless, you can go up to 100 kilowatts of power and charge this battery in as little as 45 minutes. That just means to me that, I would run the car from like 20 to 80% and plan for the next stop. And whilst it's getting about 20 to 30 minutes of energy, I'll be having a break, toilet break, and some food, and you name it. But this is it. Electric cars are a game changer. No longer are you tied to the service station. Instead, you fill up at home. All right, let's start off with the look, shall we? And up front here, the new look, I actually quite like. The old one with the old sort of front, I don't know, much improved. You've got your daytime LED lights, halogen headlights here, which probably should be, LED in 2022. Actual air vents to help the air go through to improve aerodynamics. Go figure, it's a Kona. But the sides, I don't know, something's very fussy about this. There's this point here that it looks like it's actually been damaged in a car park accident, but it's not. It's actually part of the body design kit. So you've got this hip line here, you've got this little seal here, you've got a little bit of a trim down the bottom, then your black plastic beneath that. I mean, I don't want to sound harsh because up here it's fine. You've got your roof rails here that can accept an actual payload. Reasonable looking side profile with the blacked out B-pillar and window surrounds, LED repeaters on the mirrors which fold in and out with the car, the electric mirrors behind you as well, which is obviously good. You've got a proximity key system, so you open and lock and unlock with this button, as long as the key's on you, that is. It's like, can we just kind of redo this bit beneath me? That would be really great. The back thankfully undoes all that harm that I think the side does to this car and restores my faith in it, because again, you've got the classic Kona look with a little bit of a diffuser at the top here with your LED lights, a good span of glass with visibility out the back through the rear view mirror inside, very good. You've got a rear wiper, so when it gets rainy or a bit dusty back here, you can give it a wipe and a bit of clean. Your Hyundai badge, your Kona, it's electric, yes. Awesome, love it. Big nameplate here, you've got a boot release. This is a manual open and close affair. Then coming down to the rear bumper with its sensors on the rear, and some silver strips just for the fun of it, which I think look okay. Luggage capacity of the Kona EV is 332 litres with the seats up, or if you put them down, 1,114 litres. In the back here, this is basically in the same position as mine, and my feet are tucked underneath here with knee room only okay. And head height, also okay. As you can see, I've got no underthigh support because it's a rather small bench, and yeah, nice seat pocket here. You got electric windows, a fold down center armrest with 2 little tiny cup holders, plus also 2 in the, well, 1 in the door, so that's basically 8 in the car in total. But what's missing back here is a vent, and there is no vent whatsoever, and there's only 1 USB socket. The position back here is actually quite nice, and you can see very clearly throughout the entire cabin. And yeah, these leather seats are, I think, on trend with the sort of white creamy color that they are. But yeah, it's a compact SUV. Coming to the front of the Kona EV, and it feels very, a word I'm overusing lately, encompassing. The sill height is tall, the center console is also tall, it's like up to my thigh hip height, and it feels very much engulfing. It's great for people who like storing things. So you've got your chi wallet spot here, you've got a large center cubby here, you've also got space under there as well. The glove compartment is also big, and it defies what a compact SUV is. And if you're looking for space to store things, great. But in a time when I feel that we're going to a bit more spacious, open interiors, this doesn't feel like that. The Alcantara lining up here is that white, typical color that you find in most cars since, let's say, the 1990s into the 2000s. It doesn't seem to match the dark interior here set against this white leather. It's very contrasty, and it actually, when I first got in, it felt a little old-fashioned. You can get different trim colors and choices, so if it was me, I wouldn't be choosing this, but hey, it's subjective, right? So up top, you've got this great little LCD screen, which has got great resolution, easy to see in all conditions, including this situation where I've got the sun literally piercing my eyeballs. And you've got the shortcut buttons we're seeing on most, Hyundais of late. So you've got your map as well as your navigation key, which seems very duplicating right now. Like, why do they have those 2? You don't need those 2 buttons, just saying Hyundai. Beneath that, you've got a favorite button, which I actually really like, because you can set it up and do a shortcut to, let's say in my instance, I want an EV button. So I can say, hey, when I press this button here, I want you to show me the electric vehicle stuff. That'd be awesome, thank you very much. Next along, you got your SIG track forward and back, or radio station forward and back. Your buttons for radio, so it's your DAB, AM, FM sort of deal, and also media. So you've got Bluetooth, wired Android Auto, as well as wired Apple CarPlay. Awesome, love that. In your setup menu, you've got a lot of controls around both your profile, so that will save things like, do you want this volume up or down when you get into the car? What's your favorite radio station? You can save them to your profile. The seat is manual, so you have to adjust the seat and the steering wheel yourself. It's entirely manual affair. The steering wheel does go up and down as well as in and out, and the seat position is pretty comfortable. It's actually a pretty nice seat, and being leather is great. But at this price point, I find it disappointing that we don't get heated seats at a minimum, and there's definitely no ventilated seats here. You've got the little space for them that's been grayed out, but it's like, where are they? They should be here, especially at this dollar value. Okay. Now, coming beneath the screen, we've got some vents, so we've got 4 across the front, and then beneath that, you've got your HVAC controls, so it's auto climate control, and you can do your driver side only. Otherwise, it's just the one climate control for the entire cabin, which is great. I really don't mind that. Beneath that again, we've got the Qi wireless charging spot as well as a USB, and you can open and close that as you need to, which is awesome for removing any distractions people may have. And then you've got your 2 cup holders at the front here, as well as 1 in each door, so that's your 4 here, as well as, well, the 4 in the back, as I said before. So that makes 8. You've got your drive controls, which I'll talk about soon, parking camera, you've got your auto hold, which, you know what, I'm going to jump to the driving bit now. My frustration, once again, despite the fact I can save a profile to this car, if I get into it and I turn the car on, or let's say I jump out of the shops and get back in and then turn the car back on, I've got to press every single time I get into this car. I want auto hold always. So when I come to a stop at an intersection or traffic lights, I want to be able to take my foot off the brake and just chillax and enjoy a nice, comfortable driving experience. Thank you very much. Also, it never remembers the steering assist for lane centering. It's really frustrating that every time you get in the car, turn it on and off, select drive, auto hold, steering button. It's very annoying. All right, rant over. Finishing off with controls for the driver. You've got your usual suspects here with all 4 window controls, including full auto up and down for the front windows, but you have to hold your fingers for the rear passengers. Door unlock and lock, as well as rear window stop, the kids up and down the windows. Mirror controls, as well as the flicker to do the auto fold in and out. When I got in this car, at first I didn't particularly like it. That is the interior, that is. But now it's grown on me and I'm a lot more accustomed to it. I just feel that it seems that you've got a great audio system, yet you've got no heated seats or ventilated. The ventilator is nice to have. Heated, I think, is mandatory at this price point. The annoyances of is forgetting your button selections when you get in the car each time. Frustrating. But you know what? Konas are not only about being one of Australia's most popular SUVs, they're also about the driving experience. So let's get on the road and let's talk about that. Right, time to get the Hyundai Kona going. And to do that, we're going to press the power button, foot on the brake, press either reverse or drive on the buttons, which I used to like, but now I'm used to like the dial on my MG and recently the Kia EV6. I find it that a little non-intuitive. If you're the owner, you would, don't get me wrong, but I just think in terms of execution, it seems kind of old-fashioned, which might well be the title of this video. Alright, so let's get going, shall we? Awesome thing about electric vehicles, they're so quiet. Like, honestly, you turn it on, and I had someone driving this today, and he actually turned it off accidentally. Obviously not whilst driving, but it's like, oh yeah, it's already on. Yeah, that's what driving an electric car is like. They're just so quiet. This does have a pedestrian warning system on the outside, which annoyingly operates even when at a standstill. And I argue that if an internal combustion engine car that's got a stop-start system, they don't actually make a noise when the engine's off, do they? No. So we do not need to do the same thing when an electric car is at a standstill. All right, rant over. Now, driving this, can I just tell you, I love, and just between you and me, I love the petrol version of the Kona. And it translates pretty well over to this. Pretty well. In terms of handling, I think this is better than my MG ZSEV. There's less body roll. I feel it's still not as refined as some better cars, like a Tesla Model 3 handles way better than this. The Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6, I could name many. But remembering, this is like the entry level into the longer range of electric vehicles. So this car, I think, yeah, it actually handles pretty good for its price point. In electric, we've got the electric information as to performance, efficiency and stuff like that. And right now we're running at 15.3 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. And that's since the car was last recharged. When I got the car, picked it up, they had charged it to 100%. And being a lithium-ion battery, don't do that. Okay, but nonetheless, you can see I've done 207 kilometers and I'm averaging around that 15 sort of mark. Now, with the battery, this is the long-range variant. This is a 64 kilowatt hour battery that's usable. And that's going to mean we can do about 415 kilometers on this charge, doing my sort of driving. And I've been mixing it up, a bit of freeway, mostly urban. When we talk about electric vehicle efficiency and range, there's a few different methods. You've got the American EPA, which I reckon is the most accurate. You've got WLTP, which this car is rated to, I believe, 485 kilometers. I think I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll put it down beneath right now. And it's the very inaccurate NEDC, or not even damn close, which thankfully I think everyone's saying, you know what, let's not use that because it's generous by 30% or more. So if you, let's say, could do 1,000 kilometers, the claim range of NEDC would be 1,300 kilometers, which you're never ever going to get unless you do hypermiling and you slowly accelerate, and yeah, the conditions have to be just right to do it. Between the price, the battery size and the range that you can get, it's pretty good. But we're getting pretty competitive now with the likes of BYD and MG, and both of them are offering cars in that 400 kilometer range for about $10,000 less than this one. You might not be getting though the warranty and the backup of the dealer network and the service that you get with Hyundai. And for some people, that's an absolute. They would rather stick with a brand that they know and they like, and the Kona look is awesome. I've always loved this car in the petrol variant. I've said that already, but you get the idea. It's pretty efficient. I could do better. When the first day I got the car, annoyingly, it was set to regen level 1, and you had to go through the EV menu over here to get it to regen level 3. You can use the paddles back here, which are fun. So you've got two of them, right? You've got the left one, which is going to be the most aggressive regen. You've got the right one, which still does a little bit of braking, so just give a bit of space between the car behind me. And I'm going to put my hand on it, and we're slowing down. We're down to 60 already, okay? Let's go back to 80, and I'll do that again. Whoa, 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 you can really feel that. That was a lot more aggressive. And that's what I want. That's what I want to see. That's how we're going to maximize range in these cars. And I think that performance figure of 15.3 that we're getting now could be improved by actually doing more aggressive regeneration, capturing that electricity through the motors back into the battery, and that will make it a car that you only have to recharge once per week. Meaning that if you're a person who lives in like an apartment and you don't have access to a power point somewhere, you can just fill this up at your local public charger somewhere, or we have a private charging company like EV or ChargeFox, not an advert, I wish it was, and you could definitely just refill that once per week. All right, let's check out noise. I'll shut up for 1 second and we'll have a bit of a listen. We're doing 80 k's per hour. It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm getting some wind noise at the windows, through the glass, through the tyres a bit. It's doing lane departure sort of warnings there. I think my MG is a bit better at actually sound absorption. We're going to jump onto the freeway and we're going to do 100k per hour, and I'm not going to do a performance acceleration test in this, or will I? Maybe I will. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, let's go to 100 k's per hour and see how this car performs in terms of noise at freeway speeds. And we can actually see down the bottom a real-time readout about its performance. Okay, so let's go. Okay, 100k per hour. It's not bad. It doesn't seem that different really. What is to 80 k's per hour. I'm definitely talking louder to get over that tyre noise. I'm hearing Lottastown coming from under the body actually. But remembering the price point of this car, yeah? Noise is okay, and at 100 k's per hour, it's a noisy-ish environment. I think if you come from an engine car to this, you would say, oh my gosh, this is bliss. It's so quiet in here, Chris. It's awesome. But if you've got an electric car, this is actually the norm. Now, a bit more driving impressions. This is the garbage bit of road here, and you can see me bouncing all over the place because in Australia we've got the best roads, don't we? No, we do not have the best roads. Anyway, you can see what's happening. I go over a bump, and it will modulate. It will bounce around for a little bit. Not as bad as my MG, but it's there. I can feel it. Look, my MG is worse. So just a bit of a comparison then. When we get the BYD Atto 3 out here, it'd be fascinating to jump into that and compare it, I think, to this. Because, well, look, this is a compact SUV. My MG ZSEV is a small SUV as the Atto 3. So I think we're getting a lot of choice in this market, and it's going to be a very interesting space, not even inside 6 months. The steering is okay. It's very SUV-like. It's not hard turning the wheel. It's fine for the everyday family commute or just going to work and things like that. Would I have confidence throwing this around corners? No, I would not. It's not the sort of car you're going to do that with, is it? Let's be realistic. This is a commuter's car. This is a couple's car. This is maybe a young family's car. Getting kids in the back there with some capsules or baby seats, it's fine. It's a bit cramped, but when you get into the teenager or adult age, it's a bit crampy back there. Driver controls are perfectly acceptable and really stock standard, let's face it. I mean, on the right hand side here, we've got the light control, so it's automatic headlights as well as automatic wipers. We've got indicators right and left. Left hand side, you've got wiper controls, and on the steering wheel buttons itself, a little bit busy. But it's very much what you see in normal Hyundai and Kias. And so on this model, and it seems to vary model to model, it's fascinating how they change it between the two of them. On the right hand side, we've got the cruise control. So by pushing this button in, I'm going to actually activate it, and it has stop start radar cruise control, so it not only keeps distance, but in this situation where we're coming up behind this Golf here, it will actually come to a complete stop. And then it will tell me on screen if it's more than 3 seconds. It will actually say, hey, if you want to get going again, you guys either tap your accelerator or just press up or down on this little lever here to go forwards. So because it's been more than 3 seconds now, I'm going to go tap the accelerator and off it goes. And it's going to be slow up, it's a bit slow, and then it eventually gets going. I'm pushing it now. I'm not going to wait for these lights. The left hand up and down dial goes through all the different screens you got, so it's showing me right now where the energy is going from and to, what my current speed is in kilometers per hour.
In 600 meters, speed camera ahead, 100 kilometers per hour speed limit.
There's the maps and navigation again. She talks to you. You can turn that off, by the way, but I actually like that feature. So we're doing 100 k's per hour, so no speeding fine, thank you very much. Other different screens here, by pressing the menu button that sits above that lever, we can see the tire pressure. You see the radar cruise control information, and again we're back to that driver information, which I think is the best one to stick on. On the left hand side, you've got shortcut to your voice icon, your voice assistant if you've got your phone plugged in through Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, both of which have to be wired. I don't want to sound harsh, and I do enjoy the driving experience of Konas. They handle very nicely for the car that they are, but appreciating you're driving a $60,000 version of it, and it makes it harder to justify or to rationalize paying that much money. You're paying essentially for an electric vehicle, aren't you? Yes, you are. And the end game here is that if you want to get into an electric vehicle and you want range, you've only got a few options available to you. And I think between the accommodation here for the driver, the ride and handling that it does, its electric vehicle performance in terms of range, it's a winner. It really is. But I think in the conclusion, that's when we probably need to come to the decision. Is it worth you buying this, or is it worth you stretching for the next model up, whatever that may well be, or do you go for something less? Yeah, it's a value decision that you need to make, but I think it's definitely one worthy of actually thinking about. My final thoughts on the 2022 Kona Electric. In the week that I had it, I've got to say I've come away pretty impressed. It's running very efficiently at the claimed range that they pretty much said it was, which is like 15 kilowatt hours per 100 Ks. That's going to mean a true 450 kilometers of capability in this machine. It's very efficient. I think the looks on the exterior tick all the right boxes. Maybe this color isn't to your liking, but each to their own. The interior, you can change your the color scheme if you like, the trim, but I do feel there's a bit of too much plastic in there to warrant its price. They should be going a little bit more luxurious and maybe removing that entry-level sort of version of it. For an extra few $1,000s, I would absolutely say go for the Highlander version. And this is the issue I have with this car, is its drive-away price. Essentially, you've got some very competitive cars coming onto market right now. Think BYD Atto 3, the MG ZS EV long range. And if you stretch a bit more money, you could go for a Tesla Model 3. But this comes with a 8-year battery warranty, a 5-year car warranty, and that support of the Hyundai dealership. So for some people, the things that they would much rather go with compared to the other ones that aren't so known to them. If you like the Kona and you're maybe thinking of getting a petrol version and the Highlander version in particular, that by the way costs like $50,000 to drive away, I would say you'll be mad to not go for this. It's way cheaper to run, it's zippy, it's fast, and it's a lot more fun compared to the other one. I just feel that the interior is just letting it down somewhat. So yeah, stretch for the Highlander trim level. All right, so with that said, thank you very much to Hyundai. They have not influenced my decision making here whatsoever, but again, I'd like to thank them for giving me this opportunity to review this car. Put it on your short list, go and give it a go. You'll be surprised how awesome it is. And yeah, if you've enjoyed this content, maybe consider subscribing. It's absolutely free. Or if you want to see exclusive content, news, polls, and stuff that I just don't give you here on YouTube, please join me over here on Patreon, where you get all this and a lot more from as little as $2.50 per month. And otherwise, you be good and you be green.